My fiancée left her group chat open on my laptop. I read a message she sent that said, "He's not my type," but I had to say yes or I'd lose the apartment. Her friends told her to get through the wedding, then figure it out. I canceled the venue, the dress, and the engagement, all in one afternoon. Her mom's the one leaving me voicemails now. Fair warning, this is going to be a long one. For context, I'm 31. I work as a software developer for a healthcare company, and until 3 days ago, I was engaged to Kelly, 29F. We'd been together for just over 2 years, living together for the last 10 months in what I thought pretty happy relationship. The wedding was scheduled for next May. We'd already put down deposits on the venue, she'd bought her dress, and we were deep into planning mode. Last Friday, I came home early from work. Nothing dramatic, just finished a project ahead of schedule, and my boss told us to take the afternoon off. Kelly works as a real estate agent and was out showing houses, so I had the apartment to myself. I grabbed a beer, opened my laptop to check some emails, and that's when everything fell apart. Kelly had used my laptop the night before to look up some wedding venues because her MacBook was charging. She'd forgotten to log out of her messaging app, one of those group chats that's been going for years with her college friends Megan and Jenna. I'm not the snooping type. Never have been. I was about to close the window when a message caught my eye. My name. It was a message Kelly had sent 2 days after I proposed. He's not my type, but I had to say yes or I'd lose the apartment. You guys know how impossible the rental market is right now, and my name's not even on the lease. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. But it got worse. "Megan, girl, are you serious? You can't marry someone just for an apartment." It's not just the apartment. He's stable, has a good job, and he's nice to me. Do you know how rare that is these days? My biological clock isn't getting any younger. But you're not attracted to him? That's kind of important in a marriage, Kel. He's not ugly or anything, just not what I pictured. No spark, but maybe that's more mature. My mom always said passion fades, but stability is forever. So what's the plan here? Marry him and hope you fall in love eventually? I don't know. Get through the wedding, then figure it out. Worst case, if it doesn't work out in a few years, I'll have established myself better career-wise. I must have read those messages 20 times, hoping there was some other explanation, some context I was missing, but it was pretty clear. The woman I loved, the one I'd been planning a future with, saw me as a convenient stepping stone, a stable place to live while she built her career. Everything suddenly made sense. The way she never really initiated intimacy. How she'd change the subject whenever I talked about kids. The look on her face when I proposed, which I'd mistaken for surprise but now recognized as calculation. I sat there for hours, laptop open, that conversation burning into my retinas. By the time Kelly got home around 6, I'd moved past the shock and into something colder, more deliberate. "Hey babe," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. "How was your day?" I managed to smile. "Interesting. Got off early, thought I'd surprise you." "That's nice," she said, barely looking at me as she scrolled through her phone. "I'm beat. 3 showings and nothing's gonna close. Mind if we order in tonight?" "Sure," I said. "Actually, I need to run an errand. Left something at the office. I'll pick up food on the way back." She nodded, already heading for the shower. I grabbed my keys, wallet, and phone. I had calls to make, but not from our apartment. First stop, the venue. I'd paid the $5,000 deposit from my personal savings. The contract was in my name. The wedding coordinator, Lisa, was sympathetic when I explained the situation. The deposit was non-refundable, but she agreed to cancel the reservation without notifying Kelly. Next, the caterer. Another $2,000 deposit gone, but worth every penny to avoid this mistake. The florist, the DJ, the photographer. One by one, I canceled everything I'd arranged. Some deposits were refundable given the advance notice, others weren't. I didn't care. The engagement ring had been my grandmother's, the one piece of Kelly's perfect proposal that hadn't cost me anything. At least I'd be getting that back. My last call was to my landlord. The lease was up for renewal in 2 months. I confirmed that, as the only person on the lease, I could either renew it solo or give notice. Kelly had no legal right to the apartment. Ironic, given that was apparently a major factor in her accepting my proposal. I picked up Thai food on the way home, Kelly's favorite. One last meal before the confrontation. When I got back, she was on the couch scrolling through Pinterest wedding boards. My stomach turned. "Food's here," I said, setting the bags on the coffee table. We ate in relative silence, Kelly occasionally showing me some wedding idea on her phone. I nodded at appropriate intervals, buying time. Once we finished eating, I knew I couldn't delay any longer. "So," I said, keeping my voice even, "you left your chat open on my laptop today." Her face didn't register anything at first. Then I saw the exact moment it hit her, eyes widening slightly, fork pausing halfway to her mouth. "What chat?" she asked, but her voice had already changed. "The one with Megan and Jenna, where you explained how I'm not your type, but the apartment was worth saying yes to my proposal." The color drained from her face. She put her fork down slowly. "Alex, I can explain. That was right after you proposed. I was just surprised and—" "Save it," I said. "I've read enough. I canceled the venue today, and the caterer, and everything else." Her expression shifted from panic to anger. "You did what? Without even talking to me first? Do you know how hard it was to get that venue?" The fact that this was her concern, not that I'd discovered her deception, but that I'd canceled wedding arrangements, told me everything I needed to know. "The ring," I said, holding out my hand. "I'd like it back." "Alex, you're overreacting. It was just girl talk. Everyone has doubts before getting married." "The ring, Kelly. Now." Something in my tone must have convinced her I was serious. She twisted it off her finger and slapped it into my palm. "What am I supposed to do about the apartment?" she demanded. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Funny, that seems to be your primary concern. Again, you have 60 days before the lease renewal. I'm sure you can figure something out. You're good at calculating your options." She started crying then, not the quiet tears of someone heartbroken, but the heaving sobs of someone whose plans have been ruined. "My parents spent $3,000 on my dress. It's non-refundable." I shrugged. "Consider it the cost of trying to use someone as a stepping stone." I slept in our spare room that night, listening to her alternating between crying and angrily talking on the phone to what I assumed were Megan and Jenna. The next morning, I left early and checked into a hotel. I needed space to think. That was 2 days ago. I'm still at the hotel, trying to figure out next steps. Kelly has called and texted nonstop. Most messages alternate between anger, "How dare you make this decision without me," and backpedaling, "I was just nervous. I do love you." The latest development is her mother calling me. Apparently, Kelly told her a heavily edited version of events, that I saw some misinterpreted messages and overreacted by canceling our wedding. Her mom keeps leaving voicemails about how I'm throwing away something special over pre-wedding jitters and girls just talking. I haven't responded to any of them. I'm meeting with my landlord tomorrow to discuss options. One thing's for certain, I'm not continuing this relationship. Some betrayals you can't come back from, and discovering you were chosen for your apartment and steady paycheck rather than love is definitely one of them. I'll update if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm just processing the fact that the future I thought I had is gone, and the woman I loved never really existed. Update. 1 week later. First off, thank you for all the support on my original post. Your comments helped me stay strong during some moments when I was second-guessing myself. It's been a week since everything imploded, and a lot has happened. The day after my post, I met with my landlord, who turned out to be incredibly understanding. He agreed to let me break the lease with only a 1-month penalty if I needed to move out early. He also confirmed that Kelly had zero legal right to the apartment, which was ammunition I didn't even need to use in the end. When I finally returned to the apartment, Kelly had shifted strategies. Gone was the angry, betrayed fiancée. In her place was a contrite, tearful woman who made a terrible mistake and didn't mean any of those things. She claimed she was just trying to sound cool for her friends, that she was scared of committing, that she really did love me, but was just processing her fears. I almost wanted to believe her. Almost. But then I remembered the calculation I'd seen on her face so many times, the way she'd changed the subject whenever I'd brought up our future family. The reluctance to merge our finances even after getting engaged. All those little warning signs I'd ignored because I wanted to believe we were on the same page. "I need you to move out," I told her. "I'll give you 2 weeks to find a place." This triggered another round of tears and pleading, but I stood firm. After about an hour of this, she finally seemed to accept that I wasn't going to change my mind. Her parting shot was telling me I'd regret this, that I'd never find someone who cared about me as much as she did. That actually made me laugh. Someone who sees me as a convenient housing solution? You're right, those are hard to find. The next few days were tense. Kelly packed gradually, taking long stretches at her parents' house before returning for more of her things. I tried to be out of the apartment whenever I knew she'd be there. Then came the flying monkeys. First was her sister, who texted me long paragraphs about how Kelly was devastated and had made one mistake that shouldn't define our relationship. I didn't respond. Next came Megan. Yes, the same friend from the group chat. She had the audacity to reach out through Facebook, claiming that I'd taken Kelly's messages out of context, and that she'd talked about how much she loved me all the time. Sure, Megan. That's why you asked her if she was seriously marrying someone just for an apartment. The most persistent, though, has been Kelly's mom. The voicemails have evolved from gentle guilt-tripping to outright accusations. According to her latest message, I've destroyed her daughter's life over a misunderstanding and am punishing Kelly for being honest with her friends. Yesterday, I finally texted her back. Your daughter admitted she accepted my proposal because she needed a place to live and I was financially stable. Those aren't my words, they're hers. I deserve someone who loves me for who I am, not what I can provide. Please stop calling. Her response was to show up at my apartment this morning. Fortunately, Kelly wasn't there. She'd taken most of her essential items already. Her mom alternated between tears and anger, telling me that real love isn't like the movies, and that practical considerations are part of any mature relationship. I told her I agreed that practicality matters, but it shouldn't be the primary reason for getting married. I also mentioned that if Kelly had been honest about her hesitations, we could have delayed the engagement, worked through things. It was the deception that I couldn't forgive. She left eventually, but not before telling me that Kelly's father thought I was spineless for not fighting for the relationship. Rich, coming from the family that raised someone to think using people is acceptable. On a more positive note, I've been reconnecting with friends I'd somewhat neglected during my relationship with Kelly. Turns out several of them had reservations about her that they'd kept to themselves. My friend Mark revealed that at our engagement party, Kelly had seemed more excited about showing off her ring than actually talking about our future together. As for the apartment, I've decided to stay. It's a good location, the rent is reasonable, and I refuse to be pushed out of my own home. Kelly has until the end of next week to get the rest of her things. After that, anything remaining goes to donation. I've also been going through our digital life together, removing her from my Netflix, changing passwords she knew, untangling our lives. It's amazing how interconnected you become without even realizing it. The hardest part has been dealing with well-meaning relatives and mutual friends who keep suggesting that everyone has doubts and that I should consider forgiveness. They don't understand that this isn't about one moment of doubt. It's about discovering the entire foundation of your relationship was built on convenience rather than love. I'll update again once Kelly is completely moved out and this chapter is finally closed. For now, I'm taking it day by day, reminding myself that while this hurts like hell, it would have been far worse to discover the truth after we were married. Final update. 1 month later. It's been a month since my world turned upside down, and I wanted to provide one final update for those who followed my story. Kelly moved out completely 2 weeks ago. The last day was surprisingly anticlimactic. She came with her dad to collect her furniture, while I made myself scarce at a coffee shop down the street. When I returned, her keys were on the kitchen counter, with a handwritten letter that I initially didn't want to read. Curiosity got the better of me eventually. The letter was 5 pages long, and while I won't share all of it, the gist was that she'd made a terrible mistake, not in what she said to her friends, but in not recognizing what she had until it was gone. She claimed that she'd grown to love me deeply, but had been too immature to recognize it, Too caught up in what a relationship should look like according to social media and romantic comedies. Maybe there's some truth to that. But the fact remains that she accepted my proposal under false pretenses, and nothing in her letter addressed why she couldn't have been honest with me about her hesitations from the beginning. The apartment feels different now, emptier in some ways, but also more peaceful. I've rearranged the furniture, bought some new art, and am slowly reclaiming the space as my own. My lease renewal went through without a hitch, and there's something satisfying about knowing this place is truly mine. Kelly's mom made one final attempt at reconciliation, inviting me to lunch just to talk. I declined politely, telling her that while I appreciated her concern for her daughter, this was a boundary I needed to maintain. She seemed to accept it, finally. As for Kelly herself, mutual friends tell me she's moved in with her parents temporarily. Her real estate business has apparently taken a hit. Turns out several of our mutual acquaintances were considering using her as their agent, but have reconsidered after hearing what happened. I take no pleasure in this. Despite everything, I don't wish her professional harm. The wedding cancellations are fully processed now. I lost about $9,000 in non-refundable deposits, but I consider it money well spent to avoid a much more expensive mistake. Some vendors were kind enough to refund portions they technically didn't have to, having heard the circumstances. Her dress situation resolved itself in an unexpected way. Her mother called me, not to plead Kelly's case this time, but to inform me that they'd found a bride in a similar situation. Someone whose fiancé had called things off, but for entirely different reasons. This bride was Kelly's size and bought the dress at a steep discount. A small silver lining in this whole mess. The most surprising development came from Jenna, one of Kelly's friends from the infamous group chat. She reached out via email to apologize for her role in the situation. According to her, Kelly's comments about me had made her uncomfortable at the time, but she hadn't spoken up as forcefully as she should have. She also confirmed what I'd suspected, that this wasn't the first time Kelly had made calculating decisions about relationships. Apparently, her ex before me had been dropped when a more financially promising prospect, me, came along. History repeating itself, I suppose. Except this time, Kelly miscalculated. On a personal note, I've started therapy to work through the trust issues this experience has unsurprisingly created. My therapist pointed out something interesting, that while Kelly's behavior was obviously wrong, the speed with which I was able to dismantle our entire life together suggests I might have had unconscious reservations of my own. Something to think about. I've been asked if I regret my decision to end things so decisively. The answer is no. While I've had moments of sadness and doubt, they're about mourning the future I thought I had, not about missing Kelly specifically. When I think about her now, I mostly feel a detached sort of pity for someone who was so focused on practical stability that she missed out on genuine connection. So what now? I'm focusing on myself, reconnecting with old hobbies, spending more time with friends, advancing in my career. Dating is on the back burner for now. I need to rebuild my trust in my own judgment before I can trust someone else. One thing I know for certain, when I do eventually start dating again, I'll be looking for someone who chooses me for who I am, not what I can provide. Someone who sees me as a partner, not a stepping stone. And I'll be paying much closer attention to the alignment between what someone says and what they do. To those who supported me through this saga, thank you. Your perspectives helped me stay grounded when it would have been easy to doubt myself. To those going through something similar, trust your gut. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. This chapter of my life is closed now. It wasn't the ending I expected, but maybe it's the beginning I needed.